Okay, so there are two more features I want to show you and talk about. And the first one is actually the use of our Resco Cloud. Maybe you don't know, Resco has a cloud server which you can use and build your functionalities on if you don't have Dynamics, CRM, or Salesforce or other type of backend. And it has undergone a serious redesign of the UI, which is now much more user-friendly, much nicer, and much more appealing to use. We always increase what is possible with the rules in every release of Resco. One of these improvements was the ability to select an entity, select a record in the rules. And what I mean by selecting a record is that basically this is the ability to show a lookup form from the rule engine. So you can put lookup selection, record selection anywhere in the application where you can run rules. You can select which entity will be used, like the contact record. You can even define additional filtering, so you can select which views will be used for that lookup, or even specify a specific filter just for this. And once you have the result, you can use it further in the rules. So it can look something like this, where on the top I have the select command. And if as a user I click on that, a lookup form is displayed for selecting the contacts. And once I select the contact, I have it in the rules and I can use it further in my logic. And there's definitely much more. There were improvements in the GitHub where we have added the ability to use multiple branches, not just one, or the checkout size for a file we've increased to 100 megabytes. Sometimes it turns out that there are large files within the offline HTML folder or large images which go beyond the 1 megabyte size limit, which was there before this release. So we've increased this to 100 megabytes, and now you can work with your projects much more freely. There is the ability to expand and collapse each individual view or a tab on a flexible form, uh, and the ability to force a customization download. I think this was a bit of a pain point for a lot of the partners and customers that we have, where there was the big need to get users to the same version of mobile project. So you've created a new mobile project where there is a field, your field technicians or mobile users now have to fill in. But in order for them to see this field, they have to download new mobile project. And some of them synchronize frequently and get their projects, some less frequently. And even though they have the synchronization in the background, they don't click the icon to download new customization. Now, when the user has done this, has synchronized, and the customization package was prepared, if the user doesn't click the button to apply the customization, but closes the app and starts it again, the new customization package will be applied automatically. And similarly, after launch, we now refresh permissions. So when the application is restarted and the user synchronizes for the first time, we check for changes in permissions. And if there were any, we apply that in the mobile app. So I have just one question for you. Which is your favorite feature? Let me know into the GoToWebinar window, and I'll basically just go straight into the section where I check all the questions that you've provided into the GoToWebinar. So just a moment, I'll check all the questions that we received. And if you have any more questions, feel free to write them into the GoToWebinar window, and I'll try to go one by one. So I'll start with the first questions, and they are about the voice control, where there are questions if you can enter data using voice control, but I think that was answered during the live demonstration. So you've seen you can use it to enter the data. But the question is if you can use it for direct edit on a view. So basically fill in data on a view. I don't think that's implemented at the moment, but it's definitely something on the to-do list. But Stephen, who asked this question, will let you know the exact status of this feature later via email. There is a question if the keywords like the Resco or other voice control activation keywords can be changed. Yes, there is a section in Woodford called voice control where the activation keywords can be changed. And also there is a question about iOS, because I mentioned in the beginning, it was mentioned in the webinar as well, that the voice control is currently Android only. Yes, we have the iOS on the to-do list as well. Android is first because it was easier from the implementation perspective, but iOS will follow. Now we have a couple of questions about the branded apps. The first is actually an important question. How does the branded app deal with Resco updates? So if I have a branded app for version 12.1 and Resco releases version 12.2, what does it mean for my branded app? Do I get the new branded app automatically, or what does it mean? The answer is, if you create a branded app for a specific Resco version, that's actually what you will get. So you will get version 12.1. And if Resco releases a new update and you want that functionality in your branded app, you have to request a new branded app from Resco. So it will not be updated automatically. You have to repeat the process again. There are questions about the denied request. So if your request was denied for some reason, if you can find out what the reason was, I'm pretty sure that you will know why it was denied even before you will see it in Woodford, because that's probably because you haven't probably made the payment, or there was some problem in the process. So you will be informed about this by the Resco staff. There is a licensing question. If every request for a branded app has to be paid in full, or if there are some discount rates or flat rate for multiple requests and so on. This is something that you should discuss with the Resco's business team and your account manager. So if you have this situation that you know that a customer would like to have a certain application with every new Resco release, there is certainly a way how we can find some options for you. Now we move to the section about the flexible grids. And the question is if it has to be used on the new form UI. Yes, it has to be used on the new form UI. And I'll check if you can use it on the tabbed form UI as well. That was a question from Robin, so I'll get back to you via email. There is a question from Victorian about the actual setup of the auto grid that was shown in the demonstration. Why two columns were displayed with the values. I think you probably would like to check the recording and to see the exact setup which was done in the demonstration, because there were actually two columns in the first representation, first demonstration, but actually in the second one there were three columns set up to be displayed on that detail view. And then we have some ideas which are your favorite features, and I'm actually quite surprised that many of you did like the force customization download. So a feature which I just mentioned in the other features section, just as a small detail. So this is always interesting to know which small features that we have are great big improvements for you. So thank you for letting us know that. Um, there is a question if there is ability to force customization download if there are synchronization errors and if they keep persisting. Kai, I recommend you checking out one of our previous webinar about remotely resolving synchronization errors for a user, which I think greatly helps in this situation. So you can remotely as an administrator through the Woodford tool, through the tool which we call synchronization dashboard, you can resolve a conflict for a user and then they can synchronize and the customization will be applied afterwards. Uh, Again, a question about force customization from Chris, if it can be used in on-premise installations. The force customization is not something that is limited to Resco Cloud or to any other backend. If you have on-premise installation, it can be used as well. I have to actually expand the window because I see there are lots of questions which I haven't yet answered. Voice control feature in different languages. This depends on the system language that you use. So just change the language in the system on the device and you can use it in German or other types of languages as you wish. A question about or the select entity rule, which I've mentioned very quickly. If there is any documentation available, currently I think this webinar is the only resource we have about this, but I will check with the team if we can put something together and prepare the documentation for the select entity rule. But it's actually very simple. It's just a new step in the rules. So if you have an entity variable or a lookup type of variable, you can use a new type of operation, which is called show select entity. That's the name of the operation. And if you use it, you can then show a lookup form to the users through the rules. Okay, I think that there are some more questions which are not related to the content of the webinar, so I will not try to answer those. I will try to stick with the features that were shown. And there is one more question that have just appeared, which is about the voice which is used when the voice control is used. I believe these are all system settings on Android, so you can work with those and change the language of the user. I'm sorry, of the voice, and even not only the language, but of course the if it's a man or a woman or the type of voice. Okay, I think that's everything for today. I will follow up on some of the notes or questions from the GoToWebinar window later via email, so we can follow up on some of the conversations, because I see that you are actually replying to some of the explanations that I provided. So we'll continue with that conversation on the email. I thank you very much for your attention, and thank you also for letting me know which of those features are the ones which you actually find the most meaningful to you, the ones which you would like to use in your project. So that's also a very important feedback for us to hear. So once again, thank you for watching, and I believe we'll hear each other next time with our autumn release, which you can expect no later than in September.